Okay, so back with you again. Excuse me while I drink my tea. So, we've prepped our miniatures. We've deflashed them. These had to be um, visited by the flash dragon. There was some quite severe mold lines on them which had to be taken care of. But we've got rid of as much of the flash as we can. I have to say I don't know what the perfect answer is to removing flash from these polythene miniatures. There must be an answer, I'm sure. What it is, I couldn't hazard a guess to tell you. I have no idea. So if somebody out there knows the answer to prepping polythene miniatures, I'd be delighted to hear it. But we've done the best we can. We've washed them in detergent to get rid of any mold release agent that might be on them, and also sort of grease from fingers and so forth. And what we've also done is we drilled a hole in the saddle of the horse on the bottom of the rider. Hopefully you can see that. I don't know if you can see this. Is that going to focus? Come on, you can focus for me. Is that going to do it? There you go. There you go. You can just about see that. And we've done the same with the rider. And what we've done with the rider is we've taken a piece of garden wire, put a little foot on the end of it, and a little foot on the end of it, and superglued it into the bottom of the rider, so that when you're painting, particularly when you're doing batches, and you've finished a particular color, you can stick the foot into some of your blue tack on your tub and leave it dry. You're not putting it down on your workbench and risking damaging your paint job. The other thing we did was, before we put the wire into the rider, we made sure that the rider was a nice easy fit to the horse. You don't want a tight fitting rider to the horse when you're doing it this way, because once you've painted horse and rider, if it's a very tight fit, you go to put the horse on the rider and you run the severe risk of damaging your paint job. So make sure that the rider is a nice easy fit. If it's tight, you can just ease the legs apart a bit till it's a nice fit, till it's a comfortable fit. So that's where we're at. It now remains, or all that remains now, is to prime the figures. There's a lot of debate over this as to what you should use or what you shouldn't use. Again, it's down to personal preference. Some people use a paint-on surface primer, such as that one by Vallejo. Some people use a mixture of white acrylic paint and PVA glue. Some people use professionally made spray primer. Some people use car body primer. It really, just how comfortable you are with what you try, I guess. I find with paint on surface primer, you can control the amount you put on very easily with the brush, but I do find with it, if you're not careful, you can end up with very, very fine air bubbles in it that you miss. And once the primer is dry, the air bubble is sort of in it, and you really tend to notice it when you're applying your colors. particularly when you're working under a magnifier, you notice them, you see them, little very fine air bubbles. So that's something to bear in mind if you're using paint on surface primer. Spray primer, very easy to overspray and put too much on, and you just got to build up a primer and you lose your detail in the figure. So there's pros and cons with all of it, I guess. But what I'm going to be using for these two figures is, well, you can see that there. Yeah, there you go. Acrylic car primer, which is white. And there again, you see, there's debate on what color you should use. Some people use white, some people use black, some people use brown or gray. Some people, if they're painting a lot of like armor or Roman figures, they will use silver primer, which I can understand that because there's a lot of metallics involved, so I can understand that. I like whatever primer I use, I like to use white, because if I miss a little bit, you know, I sort of notice it. And also, I think with white, you get a better depth of color with a white primer. But I guess there's pros and cons with all these things. And again, like I've just said, it's whatever you're comfortable with, whatever you're used to. But I'm going to go with the acrylic white car primer. So that's our next job. So once I've sprayed our two figures and they're dry, we'll start adding some color. So I'll see you when I get back.